California has some of the strictest disclosure laws in the nation when it comes to selling a property, so you really want to make sure you don't skip or miss any of them. Because again, if you don't use the right CAR forms, California Association of Realtors, then you could lose the deal, it could fall apart, or worse, you could even get sued, and that's the last thing that you want, especially when trying to sell a property. So in this quick video, I'm gonna walk through the basic must-have disclosures when it comes to selling a property in the state of California. The first one is gonna be obvious, and that's the residential listing agreement and any counter offers that were essentially completed in the negotiation aspect to be able to get that offer accepted. The second form is very important, and that is the TDS form, known as the Transfer Disclosure Statement. This disclosure will tell the buyer about any defects or anything else about the house that you have knowledge of, from the condition to what's not operational, what is broken, and so on. The third form that is needed is going to be the Seller Disclosure Questionnaire. This is very similar to the TDS, but a lot more detailed. It asks questions about the home's history, remodeling that you may have done, and even more than that. So this is a lot more detailed, also very important and needed in the state of California when selling a property. Your fourth disclosure that is very important is also going to be the natural hazard disclosure. In addition to the disclosure, you're going to have what is probably going to be a MyNHD report, and there's obviously some other companies out there, but that's what we use the most. And this is going to identify if your property is in a flood zone, earthquake zone, fire zone, and so on. So also very important to have this disclosure. Again, as mentioned, this is something that a third party usually provides, but again, still needed, so make sure it's executed. The fifth one is going to be applicable for homes that are a little bit older, and that is going to be the lead paint disclosure. So any home that was built prior to 1978 is going to need this disclosure, obviously disclosing if there was lead paint throughout the property. Obviously, if a home's that old, I would hope that it's been repainted ever since, but you would still need to disclose this nonetheless. The sixth form is pretty simple and straightforward, but still needed nonetheless, and that is going to be the water heater and smoke detector statement. This simply states that your home is up to date when it comes to your water heater, how it's braced in, and at the same time making sure your property has smoke detectors, and carbon monoxide detectors is also going to be needed, but that's also a separate form. The seventh form is going to be the statewide buyer and seller advisory form. This simply outlines everyone's responsibilities and what everyone is going to do, including the risk that each party is taking on. It even recommends doing inspections. It protects you as a seller and also the buyer. The eighth form, but definitely not the last, because there is a mountain of disclosures. These are just the core ones that I want to highlight and cover, and that is going to simply be the agent visual inspection disclosure, and that is going to be basically known as your AVID. So your real estate agent is going to walk through the property and just inspect the place and basically know everything that is visual. So like if I walk into a garage and there's a bunch of stuff that is being stored in the garage, essentially I'm just obviously going to note that there's stuff being stored in the garage, cannot inspect. So it's visual, it's not digging anything up, it's not ripping anything apart, it's not going through crawl spaces or anything like that. That is what the home inspection is for. It's just a way for you to be protected because you have an agent that also visually inspected the property and have documentation of it. So these are just 8 forms. There are plenty of more, as I mentioned, but if your property is in an HOA, make sure you order those HOA documents right away, because you do need to provide the HOA documents. You also need to provide the prelim. The prelim is super, super important. In addition to that, there's also many other disclosures that would be needed. So like if your home has solar, there's a whole nother set of disclosures for solar panels, and essentially if it's leased, if it's paid off, and so on. In addition to that, there's obviously many other disclosures that will be needed in the sale, but when it comes to prepping your property to hit the market, these 8 are the most important ones that you really want to focus on first. Obviously, the purchase contract is the first one that I led with, and you need a buyer for that, but nonetheless, you still want to make sure that everything else is dialed in, filled out, and completed, so that way when you do get an offer, these aren't forms that you have to go and fill out, but essentially you already have them ready and prepped to go. If you're working with a licensed agent, this is all stuff that they should be covering and walking you through. If you're not yet with an agent or you're interviewing agents, I would love the opportunity to earn your business. Go ahead and give me a call at 949-405-4455 if you would like a free home analysis from Berkshire Hathaway, Home Services, California Properties, and myself to see how we can not only market the property, but also see exactly what your home is worth, factoring in what the current market is doing. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more real estate content, and of course, I do have social media channels outside of YouTube, so if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, if you want to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, make sure to do that as well. It's also Jarrett_Richards on all of those platforms. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.